Alright, so I played through a league off stream last night with Grixis, and I tried going like down a ledger shredder, up an underworld breach. I think I made some other change, but just like going up on breaches, down on shredders, and it felt horrendous. I had so many hands with like no great way of fueling my graveyard. I'd end up with like five cards in my yard, like enough to breach back a bauble once, and then that was just it. But I would have multiple breaches in hand so often. So I'm sitting there with like two breaches in hand, nothing to do, and I'm having to like breach back a bauble one time, and then like I could use that bauble going back in the graveyard and the breach going to like breach another bauble later, but that was it. Um, so I'm really starting to look at like going up to the full four ledger shredder. Um, Going down a spell pierce. I've had a lot more games recently where just like getting out on the board was more important. I'd be holding a bunch of counter spells, but if I didn't have anything on the battlefield, I was just kind of dead in the water. Sideboard, for the most part, I'm pretty happy with, but if you're looking for playing a personal touch like K Command or something, go crazy. The main things are figuring out if I want the 19th land. I've got the Fiery Islet right now, but whether or not I want the 19th land. I know a bunch of people are very, very adamant about playing Mountain over Island. I think if you're not running Croxa, I would run the basic island. Like the ability to play through Blood Moon to me is far more relevant than needing like that one extra basic red source for Underworld Breach or to be able to tutor up a mountain for one of your red spells. Like I think mountain or the island allowing you to cast like Ledger Shredder, Drown in the Lock, Iteration, and stuff through Blood Moon is more important than the mountain for some of your red spells against the aggressive decks. Like I think you're pretty aggressively getting red anyway. There's not a lot of times outside of breach turns where you need like more than two red. Um, and you can always just fetch up a tap shock land earlier. Other than that, I think we're just gonna go ahead and jump in, see what happens. Try hard mode activated right. I gotta build back up some play points. I'm getting behind. I'm down to like 500 or something. But the league I ran last night, I just want to bring up a couple of those matches. I played against that mono red artifact deck, the one that won the challenge or whatever, and I won that match barely. But game three involved like three times they Urza's Saga'd and got a relic of Progenitus and popped it and nuked our yard. So like by Darcy's Drown in the Locks, Underworld Breaches. Drown in the Lock was still okay since most of the decks like one mana anyway. But Breach and Darcy were just god awful in that matchup. Like too many ways to nuke the yard consistently. So really aggressively look at cutting some of those things in that match. Um, it could also mean that we want to find an additional something, another like threat that doesn't rely on the grave. I played against a zoo variant that was running not only like Darcy, Territorial Kavu, Ren and Six. They had Underworld Breach in there, and then like Scion of Draco, Expressive Iteration. So it was like Zoo, kind of Zoo Shadow uh, collaboration, but it was a pretty cool list. Uh, I did play against Jun Shadow with like Tarmogoyf, Scavenging Ooze, Bloodbraid Elf, K Command, Liliana. So like a big Jun Shadow. That was really cool. And I forgot what the other matches were, but either way, I might go back and record that league for a voiceover just because the matchups were really, really cool. I'm changing beforehand. Nope. All right. Modern League. Join. TVs are in the shitter from Vintage Cube. Right. Strangely enough, Scoos might not be horrible if these blast decks are the hotness. Yeah, I mean, it looked really, really good for or it should have looked really, really good. Like the fact that I just had they turned 4 Bloodbraid Elf into the Scoos, and I had a lightning bolt in hand. So if I didn't have like the lightning bolt right there, or if they just played the Scoos later with every mana, it would have been really, really good. But the fact that I just like got to hit it when they were untapped was a little awkward for them. But they just had like Croxa, Bloodbraid, Scoos, Shadow, Battle Rage, Bolt. Like it's pretty cool. I don't know why they had Battle Rage in post board, but whatevs. Do what you got to do. I appreciated it. But like the Zoo deck smoked me. Um, like Kavu, Leyline Binding, Expressive Iteration, Ren and 6, Teferi, Scion of Draco. It looked like they cut Wild Nicodle. I didn't see any of those. I think I saw Tarmogoyf. But it's a pretty sweet list. Alright, hand's fine. Roll with it. Just start off on like Polluted Delta. Hell, do I want to start off on Polluted Delta? Yeah, because I'm fine getting Blood Crypt or like Watery Grave. If they don't do anything, I'll just get like a tapped shock land. I think a lot of people, when they play Shadow, get like obsessed with the idea that you have to fetch and shock. Like that's how your deck works, and you really don't have to. Like you're gonna take some damage as the game goes, regardless. So if your hand isn't like already set up to work with an aggressive Shadow, then don't get like super caught up in that notion. Put yourself into a really bad spot if your opponent has like an aggressive start and you just didn't need to take a bunch of extra damage. Get tap Blood Crypt here to help out with the red sources in case we find a breach later. In case we find a breach later or now. Basic Island go. No companion. Makes me think mURktide. Maybe it's fish. If they're running Dismember. Yep, looks like fish. Call Kevin. Alright, so we got this Drown in the Lock kill spell now. Um, they've got the Lord they can flash in. What's it called? 2 mana 1/1 like belch your other dudes, and you can sack Merfolk to counter non-creature stuff or whatever. That one. That guy right there. Poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison, and specifically Cusco for Vidalian Hexcatcher. Okay, still off of Delirium. So I think I'm just gonna untap and Drown in the Lock this. No, bad. I want to unholy heat this, so if they have a Sviolin, I can drown and lock the Sviolin. If I drown and lock this, I still don't have Delirium, so I still can't like unholy heat the Svi. Okay, take a Darcy. Maybe our opponent will be nice and not dismember this threat. Throwing some ideas out there. Called it. Now we're going to drown and lock this. They have not played. I kind of want to keep this. Like, it gives Delirium, but they missed a land drop. So if they just have like an extra spell in hand, then this is going to hit. Gives me like another free discard. That one I'll get rid of. Phantasmal Image, Subtlety. Ooh. I'll just ditch the image so they can't like copy Mutavaults. Alright, so I would really like to find like a bauble so I can get Surveil plus have Underworld Breach. Also pretty decent. They're gonna flash in this subtlety. Merfolk window might be closing with all these red decks picking up again. I mean, I think Merfolk's still like pretty decent. There's a bunch of decks that are just running islands, right? Alright, so I can counter this. So you just get like a whole bunch of unblockable dudes for no real cost. Fish is good versus Creativity, Hammer, and mURktide. Oh, you mean like the top 3 decks in Modern right now? Creativity, Hammer, mURktide. Seems like a decent set of decks to be good against. Alright, so Dress Down shuts off like Lord effects, ETB abilities. Really important. It like shuts down Sviolin for a turn. Terminate's good removal. EE's good removal. Everything else kind of sucks. Ditch Spell Pierce. Ditch a couple Thoughtseize. I don't want to ditch a Breach. I think that's just going to be like too slow. Ditch an Iteration. Probably just ditch like another Thoughtseize and Iteration. One Thoughtseize is fine. I kind of like want it in my opening hand. If it's not in the opening hand, I don't want to see it. Breach seems fine, even if it only kills 1 fish. It's not terrible, but like the likelihood of fish bringing in like a bunch of Relic of Progenitus or something is pretty high. Or having the Hex Catcher to just counter it. So I think it's like a bit of a liability play. Relic especially. Fish players love relics. Y'all are weird about relics. Oh, what are you doing over there? You're playing lands? Shame if I had a relic. But even like breach for a removal spell for a fish is still 3 mana for a removal spell, which is sometimes a big ask. Dismembering my Darcy. You got it. Like, I get dismembering the Darcy, but you know you race that card like so well, right? I feel like I'd save it for something else. It's just Chalice, sure. How do you like Dress Down versus Fish? It's reasonable. Like obviously kill spells are going to be better like 9 times out of 10, but there's plenty of times that you just don't have the option to kill something, and stifling like some ETB ability is relevant. Violin. Sky and sea. Sky, sorry. Respect to the spies out there. Alright, so let's get a steam vents so we can terminate Ace Violin. Death Shadow. Want Drown to hand. Holy Heat in the deck. Shadow to exile. There you go. Like, just let your opponent have his Violin, would you? Absolutely not. That card's brutal. Card is such a pain to deal with. Master of the Pearl Trident. Let's get tapped. Blood Crypt. Violin Death Shatter. I have played a numbers Violin off Ragavan attacks, and it feels so good. Alright, let's go ahead and drown this Mama Jamma. There you go. Still have to find like an EE to deal with this Chalice. Lord of Atlantis. Lord of Mutabot. Let's just kill the Lord. But M. Hayashi says other decks should consider playing it. I mean, like, it's a fine card by itself. It's not something completely unreasonable. So we've got a couple EE to help deal with the Chalice if we can find one of those. We've got more expressive iterations, dress downs, ledger shredder. Nice. 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 We'll take it. Yeah, we do in fact take those. All right, draw red, blue. There's a breach. Let's go breach to hand. Islet to the bottom. Second iteration to exile. And wherever. Land. Okay. I can breach next turn. Not that it's really doing a ton for me. Be like breach for a Mishra's Bauble or something. Now it's breach for a terminate. Lands out of the way. Playing an extra Blood Crypt over the second Water Grave to help out with breach. Okay. So I'm just double checking before I do anything. I'm 98% sure this is just going to be like Shredder, breach, ditch like a Ragavan or something, terminate this violin, and then bobble a few times. But I just want to make sure that's what I want to do before I actually do anything. I could also breach, expressive iteration, try to dig for like an EE. But I think that's worse. I think I just want to go Ledger Shredder, Shredder, breach, get the Shredder trigger. Ditch something in the hand I don't care about. Whatever. I know that I'm going to kill this file. So we can just go ahead and do that. Want to try to keep Delirium if I can. So lands. Whatever. Got multiples of those. Get Bauble going. So land, sorcery. Like if I can't keep Delirium, that's fine. But if possible, I would like to. All right, subtlety. And now I think it's probably better to just draw the 2 extra cards. All right, so Underworld Breach was kill a dude, draw 3 cards there. Seems reasonable. I guess technically, if I was planning into the breach, I probably should have just played some of this stuff into Chalice earlier. Right? Really good draws. Really, really, really good draws there. E to take out the Chalice. Got threats. Member, sure. Okay. I think there's a reasonable chance we win from here. I can get basic island off this. There's no functional difference between 2 and 1. The last card in hand, subtlety. So I should just go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana available. Pay 0, 2 for EE, blow up the Chalice. 4, 5 still available. If I pay 2 to dash Ragavan, I go down to 3, up to 4 on the connect. I play Shadow, Channeler, hold up Lightning Bolt. Sounds good, right? Make sure that our island is still in the deck. Play island. EE on 0. Rack the EE. Dash Ragavan. Play Shadow. Channeler. Go. Now we've got Bolt up, so we can bolt a Lord if they play one to try to give Island Walk. We can bolt a Subtlety that gets flashed in to try to, if they try to like play a land, animate Mutavault, flash in Subtlety, block the 2 shadows, then we can bolt one of the blockers and get through for lethal. So, nice. Love Shadow Breach so much. It's pretty solid. Like Breach has absolutely grown on me since I've started playing it. I 100% believe it's a card you can have too many copies of. And I see that a lot when people are going up to like 3, 4 breaches. And that seems really, really excessive. Like seeing the first one is really, really good, especially seeing the first one in like the mid to late game, but the second one is so exponentially worse. Don't know if I love Luris or Breach more. I love Luris more, but I think Luris was just like so fundamentally broken. It was insane. All right. Gonna go ahead and bolt this. No companion, so it's probably just mURktide. Luris did nothing wrong. Oh, we'll agree to disagree. Like, you remember Hammer Time with Luris? That deck was disgusting. I'm gonna kill everything you hope and dream for, and then all of a sudden just here's it all back. Let's run it back. Shadow is more disgusting than Hammer. I I don't know about that one. I think that Hammer deck was like ooh tier. But that's all personal opinion. Like I think Hammer was the worst deck I did not want to see more than anything. All right. Do I just want to go tapped Blood Crypt and go? Not really in a racing position. I really don't want to like play out Channeler here and have them just go Unholy Heat or bolt my Channeler. Now I have to like decide on throwing another removal spell out there. But I think one of the things that really bugged me about Luris was the fact that you could have like the 5-color Bring to Light decks and stuff like that. They would just search up a Valky, but they got to just play Luris as their companion. Then there was like Cryptic Commands and Verdicts and Bring to Lights and all these big spells, and then they just got Luris sitting over there to get back like 3 baubles in the deck or something. All right, Scalding Tarn's a good pickup. Guess I'll go ahead and play out this Channeler. Got to at some point. called good deck building. It's called bullshit. That's what it's called. Am I protecting Channeler here? I guess I am, because Channeler's just like, or Drown's getting worse as the game goes on. Steam vents to keep our red sources going up. Like I get my my surveil off this. I got to spend another removal spell on the Channeler. Like I mentioned, Drown's just getting worse as the game goes on. Could have been the Ragavan. Let's see. Making a Jund Death Shadow deck. I have most of the cards laying around. Do you have a good Jund Death Shadow list with Scourge of the Skyclaves and Tarmogoyf? I mean, I have a Jund Death Shadow list. Whether it's good, I have no idea. It does have Scourge and Goyf and Battle Rage. Probably on Stream Decker, I guess. Like this kind of list, you could run with like Scourge over here and maybe run some what's it called? Darcy or something. And that's fine. If you're just looking for like a pretty consistent, straightforward Jund list. But I mentioned when the stream first started, I played against a list last night, a Jund Shadow list that ran I don't know if they ran Scourge. I didn't see it, but I saw Goyf Shadow, K Command, Scavenging Ooze, Bloodbraid Elf, Liliana of the Veil, uh, like Terminate Bolt, Battle Rage, all that stuff. It looked pretty sweet. All right, so let's get Shredder out of the way. Do that first so they don't get a Surveil trigger. Then we'll play Channeler. Bobble, keep that on top. Bobble gives us Delirium. The old school group dream. I mean, I loved it, but at the same time, let's see if I can find it. I played a Jund Shadow list. I want to say it was like right when MH2 dropped or something. I was kind of like wanting to throw it back a little bit and ran through a Jund Shadow league with 4 Bloodbraid Elves in it. Probably like a while back. Yeah. Like Street Wraiths and Bloodbraid Elves and just for the fun of it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun league. It was also just kind of like a splash in the pan type of thing. Like it worked really well one time. After that, ravioli off the top. Okay, so we got Brazen Borrower in exile. Don't know anything in hand. That's fine. I guess we'll see if they're gonna throw out this borrower. If this is like borrower plus counterspell, and they had a turn earlier where they kind of repped counterspell. So if they try to like borrower to block, and we unholy heat, and they counterspell and block, then that taps them out, so we can get off expressive iteration. Texas style John with a big ass truck Punisher decal. Love it. Love it. We're gonna go ahead and fire off one of these iterations. That's drawing Ragavan. Counterspell. Did they start basic island? So that might not have been counterspell they were repping earlier. It might have just been spell snare plus removal spell. Okay. I think I want more lands before I go for the breach. Take another land. What about just like Thoughtseize land? So I can Thoughtseize and hold up Drown. Like Shredder's really, really good here. But I don't know when I'm playing the Shredder. Because I kind of feel like I'm just going Thoughtseize this turn, play out the Bloodstained Mire, hold up Drown in the lock, and then like depending on what they do, I'm more than likely just slamming Breach next turn. So yeah, let's go hand, exile. I'm gonna attack first. I know I'm missing like a surveil off Channeler with this, but I'm just gonna give him less information. Bam. Bam. Get out of here, mURktide. Okay. Now we gotta think. Should I just counter this because I know their last card in hand is dead? And their only play is a Brazen Borrower, but I get to untap and breach. I'm going to say, yeah. I'm going to say we're countering this. It's not exciting, but I've got a breach. And I think I just don't want to have them like find a counter spell and then just pass the turn and like hold up Flash and Borrower or breach or Flash and Borrower or counter spell. And I've got to like decide if I'm going for anything. Okay, so we're just going for breach. Start with Channeler. Rid of instant, extra bolt doesn't matter. Then we can bobble, get rid of land, extra sorcery, extra sorcery. See what Channeler sees. Go. Drawing dead. Perfect. So I think I'm just going to go for an iteration here. I have not made a land drop yet. So red, blue, land, extra instant. It's fine. I think if I go off of Delirium for Channeler here, I'm fine with it. But Sorcery going back in the yard gives me Delirium anyway. Sure. Reasonable. So hand, wherever. That goes back in the yard. Just to bobble again. Away. Carry on. Borrower comes down. What are they drawing into? Counterspell. Sure. Alright. So they've got Counterspell their only card in hand. Hit me is fine. We get to draw a couple new cards. Nice. Sure. So let's. I think they're pretty likely to fire off Counterspell and like basically anything. So I think I'm just gonna cast Ragavan, see what they do. Cast Ledger. No. Holy Heat Brazen Borrower. Good. Counterspell that. You got it. Puts them down to 10. Go ahead. Like, we're on a 3-turn clock, so I'm winning this race right now. And if we hit like a lightning bolt or basically anything off their library, it looks pretty good. Man. Game's sweet. Care about you. Bolt to your face with a Drown in the Lock backup. Care about you. And game 1. Nice. Sideboarding. We got Flusterstorm, Spell Pierce, Unlicensed Hearse, Terminate. I've kind of gotten on the track of bringing in like one EE. It's really good against opposing hearses and ledger shredders and can hit Blood Moon. But like with the basic island, you're a little less worried about Blood Moon. Thoughtseize. Number of Thoughtseize. I like keeping in a couple drown. And then on the draw, like trim some Darcy, trim some Ragavan, something like that. Darcy being like forced to attack. It's such a horrendous feeling when you've got a channeler out and you've got Delirium and you attack and your opponent just, or you have to attack and your opponent just gets to like let you attack, exile a couple things with Unlicensed Hearse, then just get a free block on it. So I really don't want to go like overkill on the Darcy numbers. Let's go like this. See what happens. Or a little bit down on clock, so I'll have to play kind of quickly. Gonna keep it, but it looks really, really bad into like a turn 1 Ragavan. Nice. See what we got on top. Yeah, we'll keep a lightning bolt. Gives me an answer to a turn 2 Shredder cleanly. Also can answer like a dashed Ragavan on 2. I've got Spell Pierce up in case they have like a hearse here. And I think I'm actually going to get a basic here. Just get basic swamp. That way, worst case scenario, like they know that I've got Blood Moon on the mind. If that was like their turn 3 play, at least it gets mitigated a little bit. Gotta terminate. Okay. Could be worse. Could be better, but be worse. Not much of a reason to play it out. Now if they go to like dash a monkey, I can go for bolt on the monkey. I'm gonna say I could go for bolt on the monkey, and then if they like counterspell the bolt, then I can still drown the monkey. Udawara. They must be missing land drops if they're playing Odawara. Here's a ravioli. Kind of just want to keep like instants and sorceries at bay out of their yard. Yep. What you got? Know they've got a Ragavan. I maybe should be assuming that they just like don't have a way to protect the Ragavan if they're um not like aggressively playing it out. I guess it's like a fine assumption. Petty theft, my hearse. Hearse is gone. flash in the borrower here. And they've got the spell pierce. Okay. Rough. Hmm. Mm-hmm. You've got the double bolt. Okay. Pretty solid. Are they just doing this so that I guess they're just doing this so that borrower's lethal. Alright. Chances of them not having a counter spell, I feel, is very, very low. I have to wait for them to go to combat and attack. Because if they have a counter spell for the drown, they have a counter spell, and I can't do anything about it, whether I counter or kill this. But if I let them go to combat and attack and then force the counter spell, then they can't just kill me with a second Ragavan. Here's the mURktide. So yeah, this is kind of a alright, they had it all. At least we didn't use a ton of clock on that game. So we get to go to game 3 and not be crazy behind on clock. Do I want to double channelers over a couple drowns? Channeler's definitely a lot better on the play. Get to be more proactive. Alright. Let's see if we can get it on the play. It does feel a lot of the times when you play this matchup like when we win, it's a slugfest. Like we've got to answer everything on curve, find some spot to like sneak in a threat. When mURktide wins, it feels like it was a blowout. Like there was just nothing we did the entire match that mattered, which is weird when you start like turn 1 they do nothing, turn 2 you spell pierce their hearse, get your own hearse down, and then it just becomes like, all right, bounce your hearse. Now I've got some threats that you just have to deal with right now or you die. Could have counterspell backup. Maybe they didn't. Guess it didn't really look like they did towards the end. But either way, you have to spend your mana dealing with these threats. By the way, here's a mURktide. Yep. Let's just go ahead and get down Ragavan, say go. Still think Ragavan's like the ideal turn one play in these scenarios because it's if you've got the answer, you've got the answer. That sucks, whatever. If you don't have the answer, though, Ragavan's gonna run away with it. Oh, yeah, I knew about that. What am I doing? That was a bad bobble on my part. I should have played the bobble, uh, cracked it on their turn. Theirs. Oh well, we're here now. Ledger Shredder. Shredding them ledges. We'll get a tap Blood Crypt here. Are we getting, yeah. Or are we getting, no, we're not getting Basic Island because I don't have black. So that would have been a reason to get Blood Crypt turn one. Just get Basic Island, help play around Blood Moon a bit. Here, I cannot get. Have to get Blood Crypt. Tap, drown this. This is something we want. Yeah, I'll take a Ragavan. If they decide to Blood Moon here, then Ragavan's like my insulation against that. Like, hey, you can Blood Moon, but I'm going to get a Ragavan hit in. They also ditched a subtlety earlier with their Ledger Shredder, so I feel like they might not have a third land, or maybe they've drawn one since, but usually that's like an I'm looking for land kind of ditch. Appreciate you letting me my Shredder resolve before you do this. No, no, no. You can't undo triggers. Dang it. Why can't you undo triggers on Magic Online? So lame. Take them back off the stack. You want to put the Ledger Shredder trigger on the stack first so that Dragon's Rage Channeler can either like throw away something like that first polluted delta to give you a better chance to hit something live with the Shredder draw. Or like if we didn't want to discard the engineered explosives, maybe we see something we don't care about. Ragavan. Alright. It's a few too many lands for my taste. think they've got a pierce or a spell snare. They didn't kill the Shredder last turn. I kind of want to attack with both, honestly. Probably greedy. Now, do I want to play the EE? Triggers connive. I get 2 Channeler Surveils. I kind of think I do. I feel really bad if I flip over something that I really cared about, but God, the flood. How many lands was that? The 2 polluted delta, grave, swamp, crypt. that was that was not gonna go well if we didn't have Shredder plus Channeler. mURktide. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna bend Shadow. Raid. You still have 3 more lightning bolts. Those would be D's. Now we're down to 3. All right. This has been a pretty rough flooding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lands. The only non-lands we've seen are the bolt that we connived away, and the bauble and the shadow. How about a non-land card? Well, technically, it's a non-land card. Hmm. All right. what's my play here? Like, I can go Island dash Ragavan. Guess that's probably the best thing I can do. Obviously, it doesn't feel good to trade off a bunch of this stuff, but they don't have a removal spell. They already have to block, like, Shredder on Murk, or Channeler on Murk. Braid. That's a bad one for me. I just get like block. So Bolt, Underworld Breach. I think that's it. I mean, they don't have a counter spell, but get there. Yep. All right. That one felt bad. So, what can we take from that game? Just removal, like the fact that our channelers or our shadows were dead. Channeler gets blocked by mURktide. We didn't see it terminate. Like, not seeing a terminate or a an unlicensed hearse is a little rough. Like, all we saw was two channelers or Ragavan. I think you messed up sequence of Surveil and Connive. You mean the one turn that like I broke down that I misclicked and couldn't take it back, or are you talking in general? Because I think all my other surveils were like double polluted delta. I threw away a shadow when we were at 15 life or something. And the only other things I saw were lands. But the one turn I misclicked. Like, I pointed out, hey, I should have put did miss the moment you missed. Yeah, I pointed out that I should have put the Ledger Shredder trigger on the stack first and then the Channeler, but I accidentally clicked the Channeler first and Moto won't let you take it back. So just kind of like stuck with that when I was empty handed. So I was empty handed because I played out the EE to get the two Connive or the two Surveil triggers. Like, yeah, I get the Connive trigger too, but my next three draws off of that were Watery Grave, Swamp, Blood Crypt. And then my opponent played two spells on their turn. I drew and discarded the Lightning Bolt when I was empty handed. But like, if I had not played the EE, I would have drawn a land. If I played the EE, then I'd flip over two more lands and have a bolt on the top with one card in hand. Like I get a bolt, but it's going off the assumption that I never see. I think you're empty-handed might have been correct to resolve Shredder trigger first in the surveil. Um, Technically, I don't know if it matters because, like, if I connive away dead cards with Channeler and then resolve the surveil, then I'm just like giving myself a higher chance of drawing and discarding a live card. But I have to draw and discard anyway. So maybe you're right. Just go ahead and get the draw and discard out of the way. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I should have resolved the Shredder trigger first on that one. And if that's the one that Solemn's referring to, then Solemn, you're right too. That one should have been resolved the Shredder first and then resolve the Channelers. See, Partimore, how come you've not played any Jun Shadow yet? For the most part, I just haven't found a list that I like. I'm pretty bad about that. Just like if I don't see something that I want to play, then I'm less likely to play it. Right, they revealed Gigantha or Kahira. Kahira. There could be elementals, could be blue white control. Playtest Breach. Well, I mean, if I find like a Jun Shadow list with Breach that I like, then yeah, but it's got to be something interest. So there's an ideal situation with like Magic Online, and there's a reality to Magic Online. The ideal situation is you got some cards you want to try out, you go try them out. The world keeps spinning. The reality of Magic Online is trying out in the practice lobbies like doesn't do shit for you. Sorry, that's the reality. People are trying out like janky brews all the time, and it's not a very effective use of time. So the best testing is going to come from like leagues, from preliminaries, from challenges where people are putting real money and trying to optimize. Um, so when you're talking about like trying out cards or play testing cards, the only way to get real feedback is to play with money, with play points, ticks, whatever the case may be, and and go that route. So like unless someone else is paying to see a specific list, I'm of the opinion that I'm not going to like put money on something that I'm not excited about playing or that I don't think is going to be effective. Like I'll play test lists all day long if I think it could work or I want to try it out. I'm okay putting my money towards it. But if it's just like an idea and I haven't found something about that idea that like jumps out at me, then I'm way less likely to actually want to put my own money towards making that idea work. So like if I see a list with a Jun Shadow list with Breach that I like, then absolutely I'll go run through a league with it. But I have not seen any Jun Shadow lists with Breach that I like. So I'm not just gonna like throw together a list that doesn't inspire me and run into a league and hope it works. It's a very, very long winded explanation there. we got? Oh, we're 2 minutes up on clock, and it's the start of turn 2, so opponent's playing like a Kahira control deck, then might not be the fastest of clocks. Alright, let's go Blood Crypt, Thoughtseize. Double Wrenn and 6. No fetch land. Teferi iteration. I think I'm just gonna take one of these Wrens. Fairy's more annoying, but can't deal with everything very well. Okay. So if they go for Teferi, I can bolt them, untap, keep the Teferi. I'll have Delirium and hold up Drown. Wish they brought back the comp in friendly leagues. I wouldn't complain about having the comp in friendly leagues again. I think that would be reasonable. I just think like the 2-player queues and the 1v1s and all that stuff are kind of like a waste. Or the practice lobbies and the 1v1s and all that, I think are kind of whatever. 30 ticks leagues. Well, that's just a challenge at that point. I think you could do like a 15 ticks league, like maybe 15 for the competitive league and like 5 for the friendly league or something. What they need to do so people can actually grind a living in MTGO. Well, I mean, grinding a living on MTGO in the US means like streaming full time, content on YouTube, wherever full time. Like, you're never going to make a living off of just Magic Online winnings consistently. Like, I know people like Misplaced Ginger have done a really good job of hitting spurts where they could like cover a lot, but it's just not a long-term sustainable goal. All right, so I've got a fetch land now. 30 ticks leagues, we want them now. Well, you can convince the powers that be to do that. I would play some 30 ticks leagues occasionally. But like for me, Magic Online is always the goal, or the goal of Magic Online for me is always to never put money into the program. Like if people want to see specific things, that's why the donations are available. But I don't want to go like spend money on leagues or whatever. I'll use play points, but play points are obviously a limited system, so not just some endless reserve. Sure. Doing a whole bunch of nothing here. Feels pretty bad. Wouldn't mind seeing an actual threat here. And for like part of more asking about Jun Shadow, this is the kind of situation that I really, really miss Jun Shadow. Like, just where you're in these situations of, man, I really wish that I could do something this turn, and you just don't get to. Like, Jun Shadow being all about, hey, if I don't have a threat, don't keep the hand. Where Grixis is so much, hey, I've got like a really reactive hand, I kind of have to keep it. Got something else? This is also the issue I've been having with Underworld Breach is like I've got 6 cards in my yard, which means this breach is like uh play a bauble, exile 3, sack the bauble, and then that's it. That's all the breach is doing here. Modern is getting to a point where it feels like we need to play to the board since being reactive is not the same anymore. I mean, before and like at the beginning of MH2, so right before MH2, and when MH2 came out, that was all I wanted to do. Was like play aggressively to the board, play hand disruption on 1, threat on 2, just as often as I possibly could, and it worked out really, really well. Okay, so Fury comes down. They target the shadow. I go, oh, that's adorable. I'd like to lightning bolt myself. Oh yeah. And now we're gonna underworld breach or unholy heat the fury, untap and breach. All right, can we kill them? If they don't have, we know they've got Teferi, Ephemerate, Triple Unknown, so they could very easily have a Solitude. We can Thought Seize ahead to check for that, so we should be able to kill them. Fetch Shock down to 5, Fiery Islet to 4, Shadows at 9/9. We need 3 bolts. Uh, or we Fetch Shock to 5, Islet to 4, Thought Seize to 2, Shadows 11, 2 bolts kills from there. But I think I want to start with Breach. Yeah, I can do 3 bolts. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 bolts. All right, 2 bolts it is. Let's go. Start with Breach. Okay. Important here. Start with Breach, start with Thoughtseize. So if opponent responds with Evoke Solitude, we can respond with Unholy Heat our own Shadow and be able to replay it right back with the Breach. That's pretty fun. So Underworld Breach. Not look like they have anything. So now can I afford to? I don't think I have enough cards to Thoughtseize and Double Bolt. 8. Thought seize them. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to thought seize and double bolt. All right, so we can't kill, right? Because we don't have the cards. Thought seize off 1, 2, 3. Bolt comes back. Thought seize. Oh yeah, we do have enough for 3 cards. No, we've got 3. So thought seize, exile 3, thought seize back in the yard, bolt, exile 3, bolt back in the yard. Am I miscounting? I don't know. We're gonna do stuff. This is like the same as a bolt, so it's fine. YOLO indeed. Oh baby. What you're saying is we dead as hell. Bolt 2, 3. We are short. Oh well. Here's our bottleneck, is getting cards in the yard for breach. Somebody's got another line that won us the game there. Let me know. We couldn't have sacked Islet and had enough mana for another card. Because we would have sacked Islet. Like we would have played Breach, Thoughtseize, Bolt, and then had Islet and sack Islet. Would have tapped us out. Never punished. Never punished. Yeah. Never punished. You're right. Easy draw, Ragavan. Sometimes things just work out. Actually, I don't want that. How afraid am I of like endurance? I feel like that's usually where I kind of get hung up on spots like this. Like, all right, am I afraid of my opponent having endurance and just wrecking my entire world? Golf ball going. Active hand. Let's cast spells and do stuff. All right. I'm gonna lead on Thoughtseize. Worst thing I want to do is like play out a Ragavan here. They turn 2, play a Rin, down tick on the Ragavan, and then I'm just like down a Ragavan and don't have a way of answering the Rin. So let's go you. Go ahead and get Blood Crypt. Life total's not like that big of a priority here. Rest in Peace, Leyline Binding, Counterspell. All right, so we take. We've got Leyline Binding up. I think we just take Leyline Binding. Take Leyline Binding. They either play Rest in Peace or hold up Counterspell. If they hold up Counterspell, we Thought Seize first. They have to Counterspell it. We hardcast Ragavan. If they play Rest in Peace, then we probably just like Thought Seize the Counterspell anyway and play the Ragavan. So, yeah. Let's do that. We'll just like find a turn down the line where we can Shredder plus something and ditch the Drown. Rest in Pizzle. All right. Good to know about that so that we can plan on like holding up or keeping out some of our heavy hitters next game. Fury. Got the Ragavan down, so Counterspell's a little bit less important, but probably end up just playing something into the Counterspell. Like maybe I just play Ledger Shredder here next turn just to eat the Counterspell. Do that. I could also just add Gigantha to hand. I'm gonna pass and hold up, just like flashing in Dress Down on their second main or something. Probably just cycle Triome. Yep. Triome down. Nom nom now? Nope. Just Prismatic Chalice the Void. Sure. I'm definitely cycling this Dress Down. A little less exciting. Counterspell unknown. Counterspell unknown. What do I want to hit? Maybe like an expressive iteration. Something where I could like go for the Shredder, go for their iteration. Prismatic Ending would be solid. Go for the Shredder and then like Prismatic Ending off double treasure, double white to exile the Chalice. And aggressively figuring out how to counterspell my combat step. Yep. Okay. Okay, we deserve that one. go Ledger Shredder. Drowned couldn't counter Chalice because it's a CMC2 on the stack. It's got whatever X is on the stack. Fight over this. Sure. And we'll say go. Yeah, if it was CMC 0 on the stack, then yeah, we could have drowned it, but unfortunately, someone decided that was not good enough. All right. One of my favorite plays in all of Magic here. It doesn't really matter if I do it inside of combat or not. We're just gonna cast some stuff into Chalice and like counter our own stuff and get Shredder Connive triggers. Pissed in the opponent's cereal today? That's a good question. Not sure. It came for war. I also turned off the chat feature, so like I don't get notifications anymore if people are trying to talk. And usually, whenever there's like a delay, I assume my opponent's either double queuing or talking shit. No idea which one it is. All right, so let's go. Hold control, lightning bolt, whatever. Chalice trigger. We say cool. We're gonna spell pierce. Now we get knife trigger. That hit you in the face. We can play that right. So red, blue. No, we can't. We can't make green and white. Dang it. So close. This is why you shouldn't have sacked 2 treasures last turn. I mean, if we're living in hindsight, sure. I was sacking 2 treasures so I could play a prismatic ending for more than one with the same color. Had to make white, but sure, you were technically correct. Should have played out Giganta, but I was still thinking about the prismatic ending turn. Oh, you can't stack after you click OK. I guess that makes sense. You have to go straight into paying it. Oh, we lose because of that. All right. So pending does say less than or equal to. I could not pending for one because they had a chalice on one. So I had to pay a second mana to cast the pending. Uh, if we want to be 100% perfect play, yes, I should have used one of my colored mana that I could make to cast the prismatic ending instead of the treasure in the off chance that I hit into my opponent's Omnath, which I believe Omnath and Solitude are the only two things that actually like matter there. Uh, but being completely 100% perfect play, yes, that would have been correct. But I had to cast the pending for 2 mana or it got countered by the chalice. See, I'm so honestly confused now why the opponent put chalice on 2 and they have hits on 2. I'm assuming it's just because they didn't have anything else to do. And if they didn't play out the chalice, then it could just get worse for them. Like if all they had to do, or all the only thing they had that they could do is play out the chalice, and they didn't, and I draw like expressive iteration or something, or more ledger shredders, then it just gets like exponentially worse for them. And so yeah, they cut off some of their own plays, but they still have Solitude, Omnath, Fury, whatever, so they still can play stuff. Like maybe I'm the only one, but hands like this are really, really unexciting to me in a shadow deck. Like it should be, oh, I've got one drop, good one drop plus bobble. I've got interaction. I can like work on drawing more cards. But it just feels so bad to like look down and see, okay, I've got a channeler. If I get it online, it's a 7-turn clock. Like I'm killing my opponent on turn 8 if I get channeler online turn 2. We're playing fish again. Catch the double Merfolk League. Yep. Oh boy. Where's Dogfish? And disrespecting DRC slow clock. Play a league with Esper Sentinel. Play a league with Esper Sentinel. Like I haven't done that. Like I don't have Esper Sentinel queued up. Multiple decks ready to go. Dogfish, I need you to control your peeps over here. Michael, why do you keep playing Shadow lists with 18 lands? 19 is standard. Okay. Here's 8 of my 19. We're only 12 cards in. Oh, do I want Darcy? I don't think I do. I think I want something better. Mer people don't listen to the fish who commanded his mer school. Probably not wrong, actually. I think I'd rather find like expressive iteration, drown in the lock. Don't want DRC. I want my deck to be better. Pretty much, like, I want something a little bit more relevant than DRC. All right, so I'm not playing out the Ledger Shredder here in the hopes that my opponent like flashes in a Trickster or something, and I get to go Shredder plus Shadow next turn and get a Connive trigger. Dogfish are like that main whale dude from Avatar, dude. The rogue whale. That's a great reference. The rogue whale from Avatar 2. All right. Go Redder. Shock in. Play Shadow. Island is fine. Are the new cards on Moto yet? I think they are not. Yeah, there's no drafts for them yet, so my assumption is that means they're not on yet. They are? Cards themselves aren't available. I'm confused. You just mean like they were added in the last update, so like the cards are there, you just can't do anything to access them? I wonder if they have those little like kits like they used to. Look like it yet. Used to have those little like $5 kits, get all the commons, uncommons, and stuff. Cards are in the database but not obtainable, right? Okay. Well, I guess on the bright side, if we top deck an Underworld Breach, we're in reasonable shape. top the Giganta. I feel like Giganta's a terrible top. Like, I can put it on top and then decide later if I actually want to keep it. So, sure. They don't have Island Walk. Yeah, but, like, that doesn't make Giganta good here. They just have a attacking Spiolan. Like, I don't need bodies on board. I need ways to kill, like, Spiolan and Lords and stuff like that that come out. The bodies don't matter because if they, as soon as they hit an Island Walk Lord, like all the bodies go out the window. I have no idea why they're losing Mutavault. I'm not going to complain about it, but no clue what the thought is there. Okay, what can we do here? Uh, Polluted Delta can get me basic island, which doesn't really do anything for me. I don't have another red shock. So for everybody out there saying, Michael, you're an idiot, this is why you play basic mountain. Sure, you won this round. Does the extra mana matter? I don't think so. So let's go casting a breach. I mean, maybe I was supposed to play it just to pay for Hexcatcher if they decided to sack a bunch of stuff. Okay. Start with Unholy Heat on file. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, sure. So we shock in Watery Grave. We go to 2. Unholy Heat. Like, I want to play the Dragon's Rage Channeler first so that every spell's conniving and I might get like an extra spell out of it, extra bauble. So I play Channeler, ditch land, land, land. I play Heat, play or ditch land, land, bauble, get a connive. That's 6 cards gone, 1 added. 13 minus 6 is 7, plus 1's 8. I got a Channeler out. I've heated this violin. If they bolt or if they like flash into Merfolk, give it indestructible. I've got both the Hex Catcher. Go down to 4 cards, surveil up to 5. I've got another bolt, go down to 2, surveil up to 3. That's headaches. So many headaches. Somebody needs to make a chart of Underworld Breach math, like how many spells you can cast with how many cards in hand, because there's a lot of weird little things that have to go into it. Like, hey, I've got 6 cards in my yard. I exile 3 to play the 4th, so I'm down to 3. But now if I've got like a Channeler out, I get to Surveil 1, which gives me an extra card. So like, how many cards do I have or need my graveyard to cast how many spells? And then if I start with a Channeler, how does that affect things? So much. All right, Pierce out, EE, terminate, dress down in. Board out a breach. Board out a, what did I say earlier? Channeler or drown. Thoughtseize. Forgot what I boarded out earlier. We bolt phase 4 times. They need to sack 2 things to stop lethal, then chump again to stop lethal. If do we have enough cards to bolt phase 4 times? I don't think we had enough cards because we had oh no, we had 13 in the yard after the sacked fetch land. Yeah, we had enough cards. We couldn't like channel her first and then have it. They sack. Let's say worst case scenario is they vial in a trickster. Out of here. They vial in a trickster, tap down the shadow, sack the trickster. Does the hex catcher say it's like sack any merfolk or sack another merfolk? Anybody know off the top of their head? Hex catchers, any merfolk. So they could vial in a trickster, tap down shadow, sack the trickster plus the what's it called? Trickster plus. I love how they just like top deck a 1-drop like it's nothing. Just oh yeah, of course my 1 blind draw with my pile on 1. I'm gonna top deck a 1-drop. Trickster tap down. I think there's lines that kill us if we go for that and their last card is exactly Trickster. Because they take 2 bolts or take 3 bolts. Yeah, they just take 3 bolts and sack like just Trickster after they tap down a shadow, right? And then they get to untap with the file. They got to draw for turn, draw a Violin. Like, I think there's a lot of ways we actually die if we go for that. If the last card's Trickster. The last card's not Trickster, it all goes out the window. But I feel like just killing their entire board is perfectly reasonable too. Not a perfect formula, but it never really is. So. For Gil, the most annoying card in all of Merfolk. I think is the most annoying card in all of Merfolk. Mana was 4 red, 1 blue. And so yeah, we can pay for 1. Am I jealous? Do I want to be playing fish? I can't say that I particularly do. Let's see if we can find something. Are they going to counter this? Ooh, I would have to take a lot of damage to terminate here. Have to take 4 to fire off this terminate. Is that worth it? It did take Vile up to 3, so there's like a reasonable chance that they just have a violin in hand. I think I just want to play out Shadow. Unexciting as it is. Violin. Shadow. Not super thrilled with my position here. Sure. All right. If they've got a nope. Why won't you let me? Why did it skip through priority? Did I miss something there? Was I auto passed? That's super lame if I was auto passed. Is there any way to check if you're or if I was auto passed there? Because like it should block pass priority. I fetch, and if they've got like a lord or something, I can't do anything about it. But I should be able to fetch and not lose my shadow there. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm not dead technically. Not really much of a difference between 2 and 1. So let's just get body off the board instead of blocking the indestructible one. Reach off the top. Do you know if you go and watch the game in review in like your game log or whatever, does it show if you were auto passed? Doesn't. Damn. Cause like if I was auto passed, then I would not file for reimbursement. If I was auto passed and it just like straight skipped through there for me, or if I was not auto passed, yeah, and it skipped through there, I'd file for reimbursement there because that's like a pretty pivotal point, and I know I've got to stop after blocks. So I should get priority in the block step after blocks are declared to be able to do something. I've got to stop on my turn. That's it's not up for debate. All right. No vial on one is really nice. Silvergill Adept. Like Silvergill revealing Silvergill is such a feel bad. Like if you want a Silvergill, that's fine. Don't rub it in my face by revealing more Silvergills. All right, so I really want to get them to commit more to the board before I EE. Oh, there goes the Silvergill. Okay. We'll put this on top. The threat in a world where we don't have many threats. There's the vial. We knew you had it somewhere. Chalice. Okay. So now we have to EE on 0 to take out the chalice. I guess they do have vial now. Whatevs. Second chalice on one. Bruh. Bruh, chill out. Chill. Just a game. Just a game. All right. We've got a game plan. Remember that time I complained about Dragon's Rage Channeler? Yeah, I apologize. Yeah. Sorry, little Channeler, that I doubted you. Lord of Atlantis. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Yeah. All right. No longer filing for reimbursement. Which, honestly, a lot of the people that like play Magic Online a ton would still file for reimbursement that league. Like, hey, the system screwed up. I lost a game because of it. You should just comp my whole league. Personally, I'm of the opinion that if you end up winning the match that the screw up happened in, like, don't file for reimbursement. You can send them a message and say like, "Hey, this thing messed up, but I'm not filing for reimbursement." And if they like choose to reimburse you or whatever, then that's their choice. But we've already got like a Magic Online system that's horrible and screwed up, and I think the last thing we want to be doing is like making it even worse with just plethora of bug reports or reimbursement filings, not bug reports. Report your bugs. Report the bugs. Don't file for reimbursement just because you're in a match you won. You get the idea. Rogue deck wins. I wonder if that's like play on red deck wins. Maybe it's a play on Star Wars Rogue One. Okay, no companion, wooded foothills pass. No companion, wooded foothills pass. Worst case scenario would be I play Channeler and they like Ren down tick. So I'm just going to not play the Channeler. If we find out we're up against something unfair, I can always like bolt myself, play Shadow. Like it's just creativity. Yep. Creativity it is. Remember that time I wanted to draw a whole bunch of Underworld Breaches? Farm remembers. Am I going to my turn to play around Spell Pierce? Guess it depends what they do. But Fable of the Mirror Breaker. All right. How many Archons you got? Discarding Lightning Bolt is terrifying when you know about the shadow that you're looking at. Mori command, sure. Okay. Gotta do something with Breach here. Mana leak. Gross. Can't. I'm supposed to just bobble. I think I have to just bobble. I mean, I guess I could like Channeler bobble or Shadow bobble. No, I can't Shadow bobble. I'd have to bobble Shadow. That's fine. Bobble. Bobble you. Shadow. See if maybe we draw into a Spell Pierce. We draw into Spell Pierce. They go for like a creativity for 2. It's funny because like Drown is what I wanted to hit if I didn't play Shadow. But maybe I was supposed to just like not play the Breach or not play the Shadow, just double bobble looking for Drown. All right. Hit you with a Shadow. Add Giganta. There you go. There's an Archon. So opponent's got all the chump blockers they could ever need in their entire life. Fourth Fable. Sick. No. Can't Spell Pierce it because they have to use the treasure that would be getting sacked. So Spell Pierce just like counters their own creativity. The Alvarom, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome, what day is it? Awesome Thursday, wherever you're at in the world. Appreciate you coming around and hanging out. Are they giving us a path to lethal here? If they do not have the card Lightning Bolt. I guess technically Lightning Bolt doesn't even do it. Well, yeah, it does, because we have to go down super low on life. Okay. Underworld Breach. Drown in the Lock, Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. On you. And I'm pretty sure I'm just supposed to go for the Upkeep Bolt. If they had Spell Pierce, they would have gone for creativity on one of their tokens and held up Spell Pierce, right? But yeah, I gotta go for Upkeep Bolt. I don't put myself into Bolt range. Bolt. Bolt you. Survey says. Got him. Alright. Flusterstorm's in. Spell Pierce is in. Alpine Moon in. EE's in. Kind of like bringing in one hearse. Drown's a really good card for us, but I really don't want them like being able to persist creativities. Also helps mitigate like Ren and 6. On the draw, Ragavan's pretty bad. Poured out some spot removal. Let's say go. I want to know if they had the lightning bolt in hand. We actually did a good job playing around it or what. Alright, hand's reasonable. We are going to do this fancy thing where we really pray hard that we can find a second land. They kill this now, that I think's a pretty fair assumption that they don't have. Well, I guess they could have a Ren and they just really want to take it up, but I feel like if you have a Ren, you just take the free down tick on the Darcy. Don't try to get too cute. But looks like they've got the Ren. Yep. Shows what I know. All right, second land, please. Nice. Nice. Get a Blood Crypt. Seas. Mari Command. Yep. There you go. All right. Now we've just got to find a threat. I can Alpine Moon to name Dwarven Mine. So at least we take that out of the equation. Go ahead and bolt the Ren in case I find a Ragavan off the top. Dwarven Mine. Okay. Found the threat. Now we just need another fetch land, lightning bolt, something. Got it. Fetch land, expressive iteration. Mishra's Bauble. Oh, we got to get something going before this Archon comes down in 4 turns. Step one. I guess technically they're doing a pretty decent job of popping their life total for us. And that's why we named Dwarven Mine with Alpine Moon, so that they cannot make tokens off of it. Okay. Let's get Watery Grave, play a Shadow, play Shadow number 2. Now we're lethal with another fetch land. Like, assuming they've got Bolt or something at this point, but 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are racing Archon at the moment. Are they trying to creativity my shadows? Love it. Love it. I appreciate your gumption. Oh, baby. This is what we've devolved to. Could have been better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next turn, 7. Care about the Wren at this point. Flipping over double shadow into channeler. Nerve of some people. Oh, man. Needed to be more proactive. Needed to be more proactive. Now they know I've got lightning bolts in my deck, right? Not that they can like really afford to play around it at this point, but just if I had one here, look pretty good. All right. Expressive iteration off the top. Breach off the top. Not you. Not you. All right. Ragavan's better on the play. I'm gonna not bring in the hearse. Really don't want to board out a drown. Cut back on an iteration. Bring in some dudes. Nope. No way am I keeping a 5-lander here. All right. I think I need to go down to 5. And does a whole lot of not really anything. this. Bottom. Could also keep the second iteration over the drown, but I kind of want like some piece of interaction here. Maybe they go for turn 2, fetch land, Renin 6. Good draw. At the Veil of Summer. Both the Ren and the creativity. Let's take the creativity. Ren's annoying, but the Ren's a ways off of actually killing us. The creativity, like 2 turns from now, if we don't find another Thoughtseize or something with the iteration, just like ends the game on the spot. All right, let's think. Best case scenario would be I take Breach, bottom EE, play Shadow. They Ren ping the Shadow. I untap, draw like a fetch land, and I'm able to like Breach, replay Shadow, but I don't have enough mana for something else. Oh, actually, I'd have 7 cards in the yard. Yeah, so I don't have enough for something past just Shadow. So if that's the case, I think I need to bottom EE or bottom Breach and play EE. Bottom Shadow, play EE. Sorry. Figure it out eventually. You top deck another creativity. All right. Remember that time I didn't want to play a whole bunch of Breaches because you get flooded on them? A Breach and Channeler. I don't get Delirium when Breach comes down. We're just going to have to Moon, Dwarven Mine. If I had like a Bobble or something, that would make this a lot easier. Like, this is the kind of situation where Breach looks so rough. Not that I'm saying if it was Croxa or something, it would be phenomenal, but doing this for mana efficiency. So if I untap, find a land, maybe I can like breach plus play something and not be terrified of like tapping out. Hmm. What do we think of just Channeler this turn? Keep Delirium. And then next turn, like Breach Iteration when I haven't played my land yet. I think I'm going to do that. So Breach gives me Delirium back. I guess realistically, I should have exiled like one of the sorceries over whatever I exiled so that this wouldn't be exposed to like Prismari command there. Fire and Renping. Okay. All right. So this has got to be Breach Iteration. Breach. Can't Channeler plus Iteration. Iteration. Spell. 1, 2. Channeler to hand. Bolt to the bottom. Bauble to exile. Play Channeler from hand. Play Bauble. Get a Surveil. Bauble you. Reasonable one. Just gonna get a bunch of draws here. Okay. See if this does anything for us. Shuffle away the Prismari command. 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're about at Archon mana. New Rens, they can tick up. Yep. I think if they've got the Archon in hand, they get the Bloodstained Mire. If they don't have the Archon in hand, you get the Ketria Triome. Unless like one of your unknowns is another land. They out the Ketria Triome. Okay. So I've got to assume that they've got an Archon in hand ready to go next turn. All right. Sequence. Yo. Channeler first. Iteration. Blue. Red. Blue. Another channeler do anything for me? Sure. Ragavan to hand, or Shadow to hand, Ragavan to the bottom, Channeler to exile. Play the second Channeler. Play the Shadow. Play another Shadow and see what happens. Go. You hard cast an Archon, you die. I sack a Channeler, go to 2. Both my Shadows become 11/11s. They can block a Shadow. They still take 14 with a Shadow and another Channeler. Oh, please hard cast an Archon. Please hard cast an Archon. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love you. Or no, they're not dead. They're at 16. Crap. I forgot about the gaining life. Ugh. Okay. Okay. We'll manage. We're gonna draw an expressive iteration off the top, a lightning bolt. Can't quite EE for 8. If I wasn't sitting on double shadow channeler, if I had like a ledger shredder out, I would EE on 1, blow up my own Alpine Moon, so they'd only have 1 black source. But unfortunately, I cannot do that. So my only play is EE on 2, blow up their Ren and 6, so that maybe if they're out is just Ren ping me, play second Ren ping me. I take that off the board. All right. Well, I forgot about them gaining life, but I don't think we had another play anyway. Yeah, let's just hard cast another Archon. What an anticlimactic end to that league. Oh, man. All right, let's give a breakdown. Beat 2 Merfolk decks. That felt good. Creativity. Hmm. I don't know. Like every matchup or every match against creativity, in my mind at least, just comes down to did I have a clock? Yes or no? And none of the Grixis matches recently felt like I had a clock. Which usually I don't mind seeing that matchup, but something about it recently has had my number. Breaches were good. I felt like I saw 2 breaches so often that league with only having 2 in the deck. So, kind of questioning that. Uh, Flooded a little bit a couple times. We had like a 5 lander that we shipped back once or twice. I still think I'd rather be mana screwed than mana flooded. So maybe I look at going back down to 18 lands. Kind of missed the second spell pierce in the main. Saw multiple like Ren and 6 decks and mURktide and stuff where you like want that early spell pierce. The sideboard dress down didn't do a whole lot for us. Saw a Turok matchup, but we never ended up casting Turok. Alpine Moon was fine. We just need something above like 1 toughness for matchups like that. Or like one of the times we had the iteration into the shadow and we couldn't play the shadow out because it was a 1-1 against a Ren. So I don't know. Take a look at it.